Good morning. The Kargil conflict was fought between India and Pakistan 25 years ago from the 3rd of May to 26th of July 1999. Now, there are two issues here. The first is what lessons were learnt or not learnt during that conflict, and how have they impacted on Indian military's understanding of modern war today? And the second question is, what exactly is modern war? So these are two subjects that really call for two videos. I will make one video today and I'll make the other one tomorrow. Now today I'll make the fundamental video, which is what is modern war. And I'll try and keep it very simple so that we all understand. We know that People's Liberation Army of China, it is on the cutting edge of modern war. So we have to look at the PLA, which happens to be India's primary threat as well. We know that today the People's Liberation Army can fight in 6 domains of war. When I say domain, it means that it has a capability to combat, contest, confront against a peer adversary in those domains. And those domains are land, air, sea, cyber, space, and electromagnetic spectrum. Once we know this, the other thing, next step is to understand what is the force structure. How is it that these 6 domains will be utilized optimally by the PLA? I will not again go in the details here, but just say that after the latest round of reforms, which happened on 19th of April this year, what we have and what is relevant to our discussion are 5 theatres. The PLA has 5 theatres, 4 services and 4 arms. The 5 theatres, we know these are integrated theatres. Western Theatre Command facing India, then Eastern Theatre, the Northern Theatre, Southern Theatre and Central Theatre. These are all integrated theatres. Then there are 4 services. These 4 services are land, air, sea and rocket force. Rocket force is the latest one, and when you see the media reports, it has a strength of about 150,000 troops. So these are the 4 services. Then there are 4 arms, and these 4 arms are aerospace force, which is about space, cyberspace force, which is cyber domain. Then they have a new created arm, which is information support force. I will explain this. And the 4th one is joint logistics support force. Now, all the theatres, services and arms, they report directly to at the highest level, which is the Central Military Commission, the highest policy making level of the People's Liberation Army, which is headed by the chairman, who happens to be the commander-in-chief of the PLA as well, Xi Jinping. And the difference between the services and the arms is that whereas the 4 services that I spoke about, they interact as a service per se with the theatres. That means if rocket force has to interact, then the entire rocket force, it takes the decision, gets the clearance at the highest level and interacts. Whereas the 4 arms that I spoke of, they can interact with the theatre right till the lowest level. That means they don't have to, they can work independently, which they do, as well as they interact till the lowest level. When you look at the lowest level in the integrated theatre commands, that is called the combined arms battalions. So you will have, let's say, cyberspace force, a cyber team with the combined arms battalion, and likewise as the level of the formation goes up, they are all embedded there. So this is the thing. And one more thing that I wish to mention here is that they also have, again relevant to our discussion, what is called the Public Work Department. Now this is a department, very powerful, I will explain that, which again reports directly to the Central Military Commission. So this is how there are 6 domains, and this is how they are structured in the PLA organization. Next, now I will talk of, we are aware there are 3 levels of war. When we say a war, then a war is happening at 3 levels. The lowest level we know is called the tactical level of war. Now this is where battles happen. Because battles happen here, therefore attrition happens here at the tactical level. Maximum attrition happens here. Now, there is a big difference between how the PLA sees the tactical level and the Indian military sees the tactical level. As far as PLA is concerned, because they function or they can operate in 6 domains of war, each domain for them is all tactics. That means whatever happens in the PLA ground forces or the PLA army is all tactics. What happens in the cyberspace is all tactics, which is not the case with the Indian military. Because the Indian military still fights. I mean, more details I will explain in my next video. But here it is important to say that, for example, Indian Army, what they have done is that their entire battle space, they have artificially constructed that into tactical space, operational space. Basically, this is all one, but they have divided it. Why they have done that? In my next video. So the basic thing I wanted to point out is a very big difference at the tactical level in how PLA sees it and how the Indian military sees it. Next level, the higher one, is called the operational level of war, and this is where it is more than all the battles which are being fought. For the PLA, a battle is going on, let's say in cyberspace, in the air. So everything, when they put it together, when there is jointness of the 6 domains, that is a campaign for the PLA. That means here the outcome of a hot war will be determined at this level, operational level. So there will be jointness of this 6 and there will be synergy. Synergy basically means that you can use one domain to get the information. The sensors are there in a physical domain, and you use the sensor and you get a situation awareness. And then the command post decides, all right, what I want to use as a shooter is perhaps a non-kinetic capability. I want to use cyber fires. So this is called synergy. That means they can all work together. So there is jointness and there is synergy as far as PLA is concerned. This is the decisive level of war. And the topmost level is what is called the strategic level of war. Now this has become extremely important in modern war. And the reason for that is that at the strategic level is the highest impact that happens at the adversary's political level. For example, the nuclear weapons were considered at the strategic level. If any country was to use nuclear weapons, it would have a maximum impact on the people and hence on the political leadership. So this is called the cognitive confrontation, highest level, maximum impact. Now, 2 more things have been added. The PLA as part of the modern war, and of course the PLA's peer competitor is the US military, they have also elevated 2 of their domains, which is cyber and counter space non-kinetic capabilities at the strategic level. That means even in peacetime they can be used. They are usable, unlike the nuclear weapons, which are not usable, they are meant for deterrence. So both these capabilities and hence the importance of the strategic level has gone up of war. So these are the levels. Now once we are done with the level, now we come to the final thing. I'm trying to explain everything in a very simple way. Now in modern war, as far as PLA war is concerned, there are 4 battle spaces where they have used the 6 domains of war. Now what are those battle spaces? One is the physical battle space, where you have, the PLA has land, air, sea and space domains. They are all physical. So they are there. As far as Indian military is concerned, Indian military does not have space as a domain, so it has only three domains in the physical battle space, which is land, air and sea. Next, the second battle space is what is called the virtual battle space. Here the PLA has cyber and electromagnetic spectrum. This is the virtual, and this is the most important battle space, because in a digitized battlefield, the most important thing is information. Now, if you are able to destroy the information of the enemy and retain your information by destruction, destruction by the enemy, then you win the war, because what do you do without information? If no orders get passed from one level to other, the enemy is blinded. So, as far as cyber is concerned, because I said everything is digitized, cyber attacks the information in the cyberspace, destroys it. And as far as electromagnetic spectrum is concerned, where you have electronic warfare, that attacks the waves, the electromagnetic waves, the 7 waves. So it attacks that to destroy by jamming and by spoofing, to destroy the wave that is carrying the information or the data. So the point to make here is that between the two of them, cyber and electronic fire, cyber fire, electronic fire. If you cannot have good management of the electromagnetic spectrum, that means your electronic fires will not be very good. I am talking in a very simple way, because this is the way I want to just make it understand what the whole thing is about. May sound very simplistic to the people who know the subject well. So this domain, the virtual domain, this is the key to war. If the information is destroyed by cyber fire, then all the physical domains, the land, air, sea, space, they have no information, the war is over. Similarly is the case with the electronic fires. So the long and short is, if one of the opponents does not have a superiority or competitiveness in the virtual battle space, then that side loses the war. It's simple as that. So, for example, between the PLA and the Indian military, where the Indian military, as I said, only operates in the three physical domains of war. It does not have capabilities for combat, offensive capabilities. Because when we are talking of cyber fires, when we are talking of electronic fires, we are talking of these fires at a speed of light. Everything offensive, nothing defensive. So if you do not have the capability, that means the PLA in a war with Indian military will exercise total war control. And when one side exercises total war control, the war cannot last more than 1 week period. The war is over. What I am trying to put across here is that unless the Indian military will not have competitive edge or competitiveness in this virtual battle space, the war will finish at this level itself. It will not go to the tactical level at all, where the Indian military operates or the three services operate. So let us now go to the case where you have PLA and a peer competitor US military, where both are able to compete in this virtual battle space. Then what happens? Then what happens is they go down to the different level altogether. Now they are looking at tactics as well, because neither side will have control, but they need to have some competitiveness in the electromagnetic spectrum. Now we come to the third battle space, which is information battle space. And what I said, a new arm has been created by the PLA, Information Support Force, is actually meant for this information battle space against a peer competitor US military and not the Indian military. And what the Information Support Force has under it is electromagnetic spectrum, which is electronic warfare. And it is responsible, with the help from cyber and space, it is responsible for the wired and the wireless networks through which information passes. So this is the big thing. Why this new thing, this Information Support Force, was created during the latest round of reforms of the PLA, which happened on 19th of April this year. Because if the information is not secure, it does not have redundancy, it does not have resilience, then both sides are in big trouble. So the point here is that now add artificial intelligence also to this, which has come in a big way. When I say it has come in a big way, that means artificial intelligence today in warfare is no longer in a combat support role. What are combat support roles? They are training, for example, they are maintenance, logistics, battle damage assessment, then debriefing, all these things which support the combat. They come in combat support role. It is already there. But now it has come to the combat role itself. And now that it has come to the combat role, it means that what we call the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide and act, or what is also called the kill chain or the sensors of two-shooter loop. Now this has become very important. That means when you look at this, what does it have as far as PLA and US military is concerned? It has, from the sensor to the shooter through the command post, it has software networks. That means there is one network grid which is called the sensor grid, which starts from the sensor and brings to the command post. Then you have a command post grid, and everywhere artificial intelligence is there. And the basic thing what artificial intelligence is doing is, it is helping the commander, it is basically increasing, accelerating the tempo of war. Everything will happen fast. So there is the second grid, as I said, that is the command grid. And then the third grid is the shooter grid. That means after the decision has been taken, the options have been given to the commander with help from artificial intelligence that look, these are your options, and then those orders are conveyed to the shooter. Now a shooter could be anything, could be a gun, depending on what sort of effect you need on the target. So that also comes into play. The point here is, this is why the Information Support Force is important, to maintain the integrity and resilience of these grids that I spoke of, software networks. And I also said that the war will get accelerated. That means you have to close your OODA loop faster than your opponent. So what do you do now? So what you do is that you have hundreds of sensors today, smart sensors in all the physical domains, whether it is land, air, sea, space, they're all over. And they are giving the inputs, data is giving. Now what is a smart sensor? That means it has a capability for edge computing. You can process data into information at the edge itself. And lot of sensors that I spoke about, they can actually come to a cloud, central cloud, where that information can quickly be converted into intelligence. That means it can give the early warning to the commander who's sitting in the command post. And it can also give the total situation awareness 24/7 to the commander sitting in the command post. In other words, the networks as they used to be understood, in fact, because the network itself will become a battle space, as I said, because both sides will be fielding there. AI supported cyber weapons, and AI supported electronic warfare, which is called cognitive electronic warfare. I'm not going in details to explain this. So the point to make is that things like cyber fire, things like electronic fire, there the human cannot be in the loop. Therefore, it is absolutely important that the adversarial attacks or the agents of the enemy, the cyber agents and electronic fires, they should not come and distort or destroy the information or the data. So you use the cloud, and smaller the cloud the better, because bigger the cloud it will have more vulnerability. So the point I'm making is that because the OODA loop has to close very fast, so we are looking at all the edge computing happening. Then instead of the information going to a central cloud, it straight away comes to the command post. You see the relevant information and immediately it goes out. So this is the war to the shooter, and this is the war we are looking at. So one, I said artificial intelligence will accelerate the tempo of war, and second effect that it will happen, or it's happening on the battlefield in war, is that the command and control will slowly pass from humans to robots. And that is happening. You see, all these are subjects by itself. I'm just trying to give that big picture of how things are happening. So this information battle space becomes absolutely important, because there also, when the command and control goes from human to robot, the software networks have to be secure. If they are not autonomous, autonomy will take a lot of time. For the robots to get autonomous, that is some years away. That is not happening today. Now, this is about the information battle space, and the last one is cognition battle space. Again, very important. As I said, this is that cognition level, that is the highest level, and this is where we have this systems destruction warfare of the hot war. What is systems destruction warfare? It is to destroy information by destroying the communication networks, by destroying the nodes through your cyber and electronic fires, as well as in the case of the Indian military, because we are still not networked, even the three services are not networked, then their rocket force, which is the force of missiles, comes into play to destroy the command and control. So, as far as cognitive battle space is concerned, that takes us to an entirely different level. One part of that is system destruction warfare in the hot war, and the other part of it is that it is being constantly played even in peacetime, because it involves whole of nation. And this is the work of that department I mentioned, the public work department. The public work department has two important tasks to do. One, it is responsible for information war, which is called the grey zone operations, which means all the activity below the threshold of actual war, when shots are fired by either side or both sides. All that activity comes in grey zone operation. For example, the 15th June 2020 killings in Galwan, where no shot was fired, that was grey zone operation, that was PLA's information war. And what do they do in the information war? They have this cyber. They have the cyber, and as I said, and the counter space capabilities, the non-kinetic ones, which they bring, and they can bring the entire civil life of a nation to a standstill. So this is the information war. The other aspect of the information war is, as I said, they have what is called a three warfare strategy. What this means is that it has, when I say three warfare, one is legal war. For example, we know that the PLA today has given 62 names, Tibetan names, to Indian places in the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh, which they claim. They say Arunachal Pradesh belongs to us, this is South Tibet. Now, it is all very well for us to say that, look, we do not accept all this. We reject their naming of places, but they are not naming the places for our benefit. They are naming the places for their own benefit. Why? Because the second warfare is public opinion warfare, which basically means more than you and the world, they have to convince their own people that, look, we are not aggressors and the Indians are aggressors. Because if you see Arunachal Pradesh, they would tell their own people, it has 62 Tibetan names, it belongs to us. The whole idea is that right from Mao Zedong's time, the PLA never fights first. It is never the aggressor. It always fights in self-defense. So this is that legal case and the public opinion case that they are making. And the third element of this warfare is the psychological operation, where you have disinformation, misinformation, deep fakes, synthetic reality, all this comes into play. A huge task, and they are doing very well. In fact, today, China is the only country which has the capability, and we've seen it in our interaction with the Chinese on the border issue, who can negotiate as well as flex the muscles in the grey zone operation, in the information war against us. So all this preparation that India keeps talking about, that we are ready for war, you are only ready for the information war, not for the war of the PLA. Now, the other thing that the Public Work Department does is, it is responsible for political education of the PLA, soldiers and rank and file. What this means is that they have political commissars. Right from top to bottom till the lowest level team, they have the political teams there. Because we know that the PLA is responsible to the party, and hence its loyalty to the party should be total. And that is the job of the Political Work Department. In fact, when there are promotions, many people may not know, within the PLA, then 50% weightage is given at all levels. When the promotion is to be made, 50 level is to the political commissar of that organization and 50 level is the operational commander. So this, in a nutshell, I have explained what is the warfare or the modern warfare that we are talking of. It's a very sketchy thing, in a very, not really sketchy, a simplistic way of explaining the things. But I have tried to explain it, that how they have used their 6 war domains into the 3 levels of war and into 4 battle spaces. Now, in my next video, I will talk of the lessons learned or not learned from the Kargil conflict, and how it has impacted on Indian military leadership's understanding of modern war today. Thank you very much.